Maplewood viewer wants to know, when will the legislature take the state tax off Social Security? I know that has been a topic of some discussion. We'll broaden this more generally and talk about the tax bill. So let's start with you, Senator Nelson. And
sure. Well, I've served on the tax committee up until this year, but I'm carrying some of those tax proposals. One is to remove Social Security, the tax on Social Security. My proposal is to phase it out, similar to what Iowa did, not take it all in one year, but make it easier to address the budget by phasing it out. There's also some tax proposals for research and development tax credits. That's really important. Those are the innovators, and we are in a good state for that. That's what's moving our economy forward. And then also the business-wide property tax has been a huge concern in this state because we're one of the few states that has that. And it's an additional property tax on top of your normal property taxes. So our businesses are paying their normal property taxes, city, county, schools, and then the state tax on about another 30%. That comes right up to the Capitol in St. Paul for the general fund, so not exactly a property tax. That's making it just more costly to do business in Minnesota. We're about 47th in the nation for a business-friendly climate, and it's a very competitive environment. So this is one of the tax proposals. I had a hearing today in the tax committee on that. So
let me push back a little bit on the research and development credit. We had some discussion about this last week. The report had just come out, and so we didn't have a chance to really explore that. But for our viewers, the state auditors, I understand it, did a little a pretty thorough investigation of the research and development tax credit. And my understanding, I haven't read the report, but my understanding is that it was perhaps not as favorable as some expected. How would you
yes.
You don't have to accept my characterization, but maybe you can tell our viewers what you thought, and we'll include that as part of our discussion.
Actually, you'd want to look at the full report. It did show that the R&D tax credit actually did produce jobs and had a positive impact. But it showed that the most positive impact is when we had refundability. And so that was taken away a couple of years ago, the refundability portion of it. So the R&D tax credit bill that was before the tax committee earlier this week was to increase the refund credit amount and then add a refundability piece as well. And it's the refundability piece that really showed the greatest gains if you looked at the OLA report. So I'd encourage people to go online and take a look at that. I also know that Medical Alley, Minnesota High Tech Association, has really delved into that report as well, and I believe that they'll be releasing some other information to look at, too, in that regard.
Senator Eakin, taxes.
Yeah, and as far as the tax on Social Security benefits, I believe that we should remove it from Social Security benefits as well, and I put in a bill to do just that. The main stumbling block is how to pay for it because it is expensive. It takes a lot of money out of the general fund, and I would replace it with a tax that would be applied to incomes, passive incomes, that's just investment income, on incomes above $250,000 a year. And one of the reasons I look at passive income is because you currently do not pay any tax to support Social Security from passive income, and to tax that at the same rate as you tax earned income below $120,000, which is how they pay for the Social Security benefits now. So that would replace it, and it would put the tax at about the same rate as what working people pay on earned income for those incomes, that passive income above $250,000 a year. And Senator Nelson had mentioned some of the other things too, the business statewide property tax. We did have a provision in the last tax bill. I hope that we can come back and redo some of that. That was a tax bill that passed with significant bipartisan support as well. So I'm hoping, again, we have a blueprint there to follow for this year. And it included an exemption on the first $100,000 of value in a business, which is a good step in that direction. I think that we should eventually phase that out as well. But I think that's a good starting point. So I hope we're able to come back to that. We also had a tax credit for students who have significant loan debts that they're paying off. If they have a debt that's 10% or more of their income, they can qualify for a tax credit up to $1,000 a year that they can get from that. So there were a lot of good things in that tax bill. That was a part of it as well. And property tax relief generally. I really do feel that we should be phasing out all property taxes over time because it's such an antiquated, archaic, an arbitrary system of taxation that doesn't work the way it was originally intended, and it also hits lower and middle income people in greater Minnesota the hardest. And so I think it should be replaced with a tax system that's much fairer and less regressive than that one.
Representative Bly?
Well, I do hear from constituents about wanting to have the Social Security tax taken away. I like your idea about phasing it out. If I could change the conversation just a bit. I mean, we sometimes talk about the business climate here in Minnesota. It kind of depends on which rating you look at. Some people say we have the fourth friendliest business economy in the country, and so I guess I would caution not to do too many comparisons because all states are very different, and they have different tax structures. Also, as I think about this, whenever we begin the conversation by saying, I don't know how we're going to pay for this, we never get it done. And so I think this, in my perspective, this goes back to many, many years, and also at the federal level, when we started cutting the tax rate on the wealthiest in the country and in Minnesota, and thinking that would give us some economic development or improve things. It hasn't really turned out that way. In fact, we end up looking for money from low-income or middle-class folks and seeing if we can't find ways to fund things in that way. It doesn't really seem to work, and I think there is. I'm glad many of the things that you were talking about. I think we do need to look at tax reform and find a way to fund the things that we truly need, and transportation, schools, and nursing homes, for instance, as you've mentioned already, are important things that need to be addressed, and we need to face up to them. And if we continue to have the conversation, well, how do you pay for it, or who do you tax, whose ox do you gore to pay for this, we never get there, and it's very frustrating.
Well, I think that we need to phase out. I think there's Social Security, tax on Social Security, and I think there's generally broad support with that. And as far as how do we pay for it, I think government, I would argue, has enough money. We need to understand how to prioritize the money that we have, so we don't need to tax someone further that's down the income line in order to pay for new things. I think we need to restructure how we pay for things right now. Now, the one thing, Senator, that I would sort of disagree a little bit really goes to the tone of why we want to remove taxing from Social Security to begin with. Certainly, there is a sense that if someone has a limited income, we don't want to take taxes from that. But I also know that the taxing system in Minnesota with Social Security kind of builds upon other incomes. And one of the difficulties that we're seeing in Minnesota, particularly in rural Minnesota, is the people that have the assets available, the retired farmer, the person who has lived their long life and they have this wealth. If you start adding taxes to that investment income, it kind of has the same effect as taxing to Social Security in that they start moving that to other states. And we have a real challenge right now with capital investment in greater Minnesota because a lot of that capital is leaving. So I just have a concern that if we reduce taxes with Social Security, we keep the people here we want to keep here, but if we start taxing their other income, they're just going to leave anyway. And that's what I view as probably the biggest reason why we need to reduce and eventually phase out the tax on Social Security.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention my main concern is driving businesses under with the property tax system we currently have because of how regressive it is.
Yes.
It is the most threatening tax for businesses and for farmers and for homeowners in our state because it doesn't take into consideration your income levels, and it doesn't take into consideration whether your business is thriving or it's struggling. You get hit with it regardless. And I think it's important that we continue to ratchet down on the property tax. And one other provision that was in that tax bill last year that I hope we bring back again this year was a 40% tax credit on ag lands for bond issues. I really don't think that ag land should be taxed. I actually have a bill in, along with Representative Marquardt, to completely remove ag lands from property taxes for bond issues. It's also made it very difficult for school districts to pass referendums because of the opposition that it generates. And everybody sees the unfairness of it. And so I think that's important to bring back and eventually, hopefully, phase out that tax on ag land completely. But remember, I was talking earlier about how farmers are getting hit after hit after hit. That's one area where I think we need to remove the burden and to help out our school districts. And this is something that everybody in the community in Greater Minnesota should be able to get around because it's not just going to shift the tax from the ag land to those in town. It's the state that's going to pick it up. And it's about $40 million to pay for, but it helps out all greater Minnesotans in these communities, not just the farmers, but the farmers and those in town and our children as well.
Yeah, and if I could, I actually support that, but I support it as sort of the fallback position, in that I do think that this is a way that we can kind of remedy a situation now by the state taxpayer picking up that 40% of the land. But I'm encouraged when we have conversations, as you're saying, Senator, talking about how we need to fix property taxes, because I do think it's fundamentally broken. I think it's actually a model that we could arguably say has passed its prime, at least in rural Minnesota for sure. And I don't know what the fix is. The only challenge that we have is that when we say I think it's a good fit to have the 40% reduction, because we are helping those landowners who are really getting socked for a large percentage of this. The concern I have is I hope no one recognizes that as a future long-term fix for property taxes, because I think it just fills a need right now. I think you would agree with that, but that's something that is really important to me.
Senator Nelson, you wanted to say something on this?
Oh, I was just going to mention education. We were talking a little bit about education and funding in education and equity in education funding. I am the chair of the Senate Education Finance Committee, so this is right near and dear to me. And I would just say we're looking at a lot of different issues and possibilities in how to better fund, perhaps in a more equitable way, education for our students. But I would say that the Senate Education Finance Committee is very focused on students and focused on funding what works. And it looks a little different, perhaps in different places in the state. And we know that education is a great equalizer. It's really the moral issue of our day, and it's the racial issue of our day, and we see that it's the economic issue of our day when we think about things like the workforce shortage that we have. So I would say that part of the debt equity or the operating equity as well on the referendums is something that needs to be looked at. And there's a number of different proposals. We're looking at all of them and trying to find out what's the best way to make sure that all of our Minnesota students get a great education. We need that. We can no longer afford to have the largest achievement gap in the nation. We need every one of our students to be able to succeed beyond high school, whatever that looks like. And so that's the challenge, and part of that includes equity and funding too.